had all sorts of questions here.
Do a commercial with Diet Dr. Pepper. That's what I'm drinking. Nothing else.
He doesn't drink.
I'm just going to ask you.
We can't go into explanations.
A lot of the stuff's going to be out of order and stuff because later on it's going to all be edited, chopped up and edited.
I'm looking up this way because he's standing here right now. I'm just letting everybody at home know this that's watching this.
Well, yeah, but you know you're going to keep turning.
Yes, sir.
You're so camera wearing. Yeah, while standing right here.
Okay.
And also tomorrow we're going to go to Smoky Mountain, so all those guys are going to do interviews about you. Ryan's arranging all that.
I have a lot of
yeah.
Will it be about the business or about like what was he working?
Favorite Eddie story?
No, Eddie stories or
Bad Eddie stories.
No,
I'm not sure.
Eddie stories.
I'm not sure where these guys are going. I know Funk, Cornette, Anthony, hopefully Pritchard, maybe Ricky Morton.
Just don't ask any of the girls that work over.
Tammy. Yeah. Okay. Let me go through a whole bunch of stuff here.
Who went out? The light went out.
Did it? Yeah.
There, came on. It went out. Something there's a short in the light.
Yeah.
Short in the light. Slow down now.
This one should last for about 15.
Now we're doing the making of.
No, you're going to be.
The making of.
Okay. Well, first off, why don't you give us a rundown of all your injuries from head to toe?
You ain't got enough time.
Really?
No. Yeah. No, I just had some major places I hurt. Let me look back here. I got my neck area, which I hurt in the car accident in 1983 and went up to Allentown, Pennsylvania. I've got bad right shoulder, horrible right shoulder, and a torn rotator cuff. I got a half-inch tear there that I've been putting off surgery on for a while since I left Atlanta in 1990, which it was everybody had their opinion on the reason why I left. So I said I was hurt, and they had other explanations for me, but I was, and I just haven't been able to have the surgery done because I've been wrestling, and I didn't think that's what I wanted to do at the time. So it's my shoulder and my neck area, my back, of course, hip, and the light went out again. I don't know if that matters.
You're kidding.
So there came on. See, it's just some kind of pressure there. So I think it's okay if she's maybe if you keep pushing in on the batteries.
Just wonder if I might have burned out the line. Well, we did.
We're cool. We're doing the making of again.
Well, make it easier
this time. Let me thank Dr. Pepper for sponsoring this. Diet, Dr. Pepper.
See, if it goes out, I'm just going to move that.
We got the light fixed and we're back on.
Okay.
We're back on track.
Okay.
Okay. My neck area, my shoulder area, and the light went out again. This interview is not meant for you. Everything's happening anyway. I was looking over at the bed. Just in case you don't. The light came on again.
That's what. Forget it. Forget it.
And he got the other shade on, so we might be able to see him better. I'm off.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. All right. We finished the injury list. Neck, shoulder with a rotator cuff, and my elbows are bad, and my back's really bad. But I just don't know on my hip. I got a real bad hip. A hip that I first broke in 1983 in a match with David Schultz on WWF TV. No one really ever knows, but he slammed me outside on the floor at a six-man tag. Me and S.D. Jones and Tony Gurria against David Schultz, Paul Orndorff, and Roddy Piper. So actually, the upper part of my back starting at the hip up, I'm kind of done for. Okay.
Have you been told you're going to have to undergo any surgery or anything?
Yeah, the right shoulder, and also in my neck. The C5 vertebrae was like really cracked and chipped real bad. I still got place in there, and where the disc and everything is, and it's cracked off, and they got to go in. They say I go in from the front. They told me this in '83 after the car wreck to take it out, and it's back here, and then I got to get the rotator cuff men did it, fix whatever. I know that I'm going to be wrestling anymore for a while. So yes, I do, but I have put it off for a long time. And but yes, okay, I do have to have surgery. Probably on my head, my brain. Everyone there's a green. Yes.
And you broke your neck. When was that? In
1983, car accident.
That was in a car accident.
Downtown Pennsylvania. Vroom, right on the back of a truck.
And were you going or coming from a taping?
Yeah, I was going from a tape. We did a tape in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and if you were real good, I guess for the month, whatever, you got invited to a dinner afterwards at Vince McMahon's house, or not house, but this hotel in Reading, Pennsylvania, right up the road from it. And so Arnold Skolin came to Kurt Hennig and told Kurt for me and Kurt to come to the dinner. And Kurt went on without me. And I took Jimmy Snuka from TV that I let him out of his room, went to my room, got showered, dressed, started driving to Reading. It was already like 12 o'clock, so I turned around to come back. I was tired. And really the next thing I know, and the only thing I remember is I woke up in the hospital with Don Morocco over me. And I had run under the back of a truck. And that same night, while they had me in the emergency room, I remember the trauma unit buzzer going off or whatever, and all the nurses leaving me, and they said they got to go to my friend, and I didn't know who my friend was. And like 3 days later, my mom and dad, after they got to Allentown, told me that Jimmy Snuka's girlfriend had died that very same night. And 2 minutes, like after they brought me in, they brought her in.
That was the night when they arrested Snuka outside the hotel?
That's right.
Wow.
No, that's a different story. Now they arrested Snuka one time in New York outside a hotel at Howard Johnson's.
That's the one when he was running around in the blanket.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. That's right. Like, it took 9 cops, and they had dogs there, and he knocked them all down. Everything. It was great. Great story. It wasn't great, but it was a great story. I loved every minute. I was 21, having fun.
So how much longer was it until Vince pulled the ankle?
Which angle?
On WWF.
With the neck?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay. With Mass Superstar?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen that video in a long time, but didn't they claim you injured it against the Mass Superstars?
Re-injured. Well, what it was, I wasn't really ready to come back to work, and I was going to Japan, and they asked me to come on back to do the TV taping early, and I didn't know what they had in mind. And Jay Strongbow, I guess it was his idea, and he called me off before TV and said, "We got this thing we want to do with you and Mass Superstar," and I thought it was great, and I loved every minute of it, loved doing it. But it was after they saw that I was okay, though. They didn't just try to get me to come and do it, because of my feelings or anything. Then I went to Japan, and I heard it in a match over there. Again, I wasn't ready to come back. I was going to come back too soon. And I had been playing softball all summer at home, thinking that I was getting back in shape to wrestle, but I just hadn't took any bump shit on it, and I was hurt. And I shouldn't really come back when I did, but I did. And I came back for a little while, stayed through the beginning of 1984, and that's when I got really homesick and wanted to come back to Memphis.
How long were you in Japan?
Well, I was supposed to be there a month, but I only stayed like a week and a half or something.
Who did you wrestle? Did you wrestle with Tiger Mask over there?
No, I wrestled Tiger Mask in the WWF in the latter part of '82 when he came over and he traveled with me, and I had a lot of fun with him and stuff. I remember practicing his elbows in our rooms when we stayed together. He put pillows on top of the beds like we have here in this room right now. He dropped elbows on. I just watch him run and jump on the bed and do elbows and everything. He was a great guy, and he's the nicest, and I got to have a lot of good matches with him, and one I still have on tape from the Spectrum in Philadelphia at home. But, I really enjoyed watching back and forth and remember how it looked 10 years ago. Maybe 12 now, 82, yeah.
12. From whom did you learn to throw the fire?
Watching a lot of old tapes of the Sheik and, of course, Lawler. I mean, watching Lawler do it, but the Sheik. I mean, I remember Saul Weingroff, an old manager back in the 60s and everything in Tennessee area, that he threw the fire a lot, and it always just got me. The fire, it was like, wow, that was the ultimate thing to do. And then Lawler started doing it, which increased it a little bit more, and then I took it upon myself where I do it. And I finally got Lawler to go for the idea of letting me fire him, so I got to start using fire.
Well,
got him to go for a few ideas.
Yeah, well,
he shouldn't have. Sorry, Gary.
Going right to Lawler. One of the things I'm gonna drop in is we're getting that luncheon you did for Goodhart, where I guess he really pissed off Lawler.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's been your relationship with Lawler? I mean, what was it like when it started, and how has it progressed or regressed through the years? Because you're intertwined with him for a long time.
I think it's probably the best described as a love-hate relationship. You know, either we're really working together and having fun, or we're just apart. And I'm in another area or somewhere like West Philadelphia, and we don't talk much or something like that. So, but when we're together and really working together, it's great. It's fun to sit and talk to someone like that, especially someone you look up to and someone like you idolized as a kid. Okay, I've said it, and I had to, let's get that on record. And it is, but I want to say this though about him too. I mean, the real idol of my life was my dad. I mean, I really looked up to him. I mean, he was the guy that I remember first breaking into wrestling and everything. And Jerry Lawler came on as a thing at home to where I remember going to school and the kids always had that Lawler look on their face like they want to be chewing their gum and said, I'm Jerry Lawler, the king. And so, like I was 6th, 7th grade, I said, I'll be the king someday. I walk around school and I'm doing the look and I'm doing the strut and everything. And I think, sure will. And so I started in with the Tommy Gilbert type kind of being shy type thing in wrestling, but I always thought I just needed to be the bad guy. So I wanted to be like Lawler. As soon as I got a chance to be the bad guy, to be the heel, I just took up doing Lawler. And Terry Funk and a few others I look up to too. And my dad, so in my style sometimes you'll see a Jerry Lawler, a Tommy Gilbert, a Terry Funk, a Jack Briscoe, or heck, even I remember watching Lou Thez when I was a kid because he was just in his 60s or something, and that was whatever, 106, I don't know, but whatever he is, he's still living. Way to go, Lou. And I don't mean that bad, but forearm stuff. I learned the old style, the new style, and with Jerry Lawler, I just want to make sure that I say that first off that he was my hero. His picture was on my wall when I was a kid, but on the sidewall, not on the ceiling.
Now you're doing the book right now on the USWA, right?
Doing what?
You're writing the book right now on the USWA, right?
Well, I'd say that I said it. I have a good picture of what's going on right now. Yeah.
So that must mean Lawler's got a lot of respect for you.
Yeah, I don't think there's any disrespect for either one of us, but I think after a while, like, we all feel threatened, and after a while, I would think that, in this area, we had Jackie Fargo for years and years and years, and Jerry Lawler was his protege, and he trained Jerry Lawler to wrestle, and Fargo was the man in the 60s when I was growing up into the middle 70s, and Lawler took over. And Fargo really didn't want to leave or let go either, but he finally had to. And so I think Jerry Lawler he's had his great time in the wrestling business, had fun. He's done everything, won every championship. He's drawn more sellouts at the Mid-South Coliseum than Elvis Presley. But sooner or later comes a time for change, and I think that is where there's some kind of problem sometimes with us, is that if he feels that the people are ever getting a little bit too far to Eddie's side or over that line, then he wants to pull back, and we have a problem. But other than that, everything is cool. So there's no disrespect.
How does he feel about you running for office right now?
We haven't discussed that too much. I really haven't discussed it too much with anybody in the wrestling business, and because first of all, I don't think they want to talk to me about it, and because they don't understand what it's about. So.
What are you running for first?
I run for county court clerk, county clerk they call it this year. Not really, and so
that's a full-time position, right?
Yeah.
And what county?
Henderson County, Lexington. Tennessee.
What are your duties going to be?
I get to marry people. That's one of my.
Whoa.
But I thought if I got to talk to them too much, they probably would back out and not get married if I would explain to them a few things. But I think that the job really carries. It does. I mean, really, that is the true. That's a shoot there. I'm telling the truth on that part. I would be able to marry somebody if they came to me and said, "Andy, we want to get married." So anyone out there, if I were to get this, come on down, I'll marry you up. We'll have that weekend deal. One prize take off.
Yeah, Gilbert.
That's right. Yep. You'll find me, Norman Bates. And no, it's license tags. People will come to me, get their license tags, and they'll pay the wheel tax and everything. But that's what it is. That's what the bachelor job is. But I hope someday to be state representative. We get that in.
Oh, so you have higher aspirations?
Yes, I do. But I think just like in wrestling, you got to start somewhere. And I wanted to be Booker when I got in wrestling. I knew at 17, and no one was going to listen to me, so I had to wait till I was 25, which was I was still one of the youngest to ever get the chance. So I was happy with that too.
wrestling is so big around here that you were running for office in this area, even though they all know you're a wrestler, doesn't really get in the way of your running, does it?
Well, I don't know. It's the first time something like this here with these people. They're not used to. A lot of them, I'm sure, at home right now, are probably saying, "I want to stay to wrestling. He's doing fine right now. And why does he want to get out?" That's the number one question right now. Why do I want to get out? And they didn't expect it this soon and stuff like that. But I don't think anybody understands that. So.
Yeah. Okay, what sort of...
I watch a lot of C-SPAN.
You know, yeah. Okay, well, a lot of people have asked me to ask you about the split up of the new Fabs back in '84.
Yeah.
The Tommy Rich angle. You did an angle in the studio where the wrestling fan convention, I think, was the...
Yeah, we got the trophies, and I said, "I'm sorry, Tommy, come back, please. I love you."
Yeah, and then he attacked you, right?
No, well, he attacked me first, and I suckered him in by interview with saying I was really sorry and that I didn't mean it, and please accept my...
But you were bleeding a gush.
I was bleeding, yes, and wiping my head. Lance Russell standing there, and Lance didn't believe me at first, and then he winds up saying, I guess it takes a big man to admit when he's wrong, Eddie. I was wrong, I said. And then Tommy, and that was one of the first angles that I ever got done. That was my idea to use the trophies from the convention. See, that way we got the trophies as the tag team of the year, plus I got the blessing on the head with it. So I got two things in there at once, two ideas done. That was fun. Sucker into me.
Yeah, and then he introduced the hell out of him. And then how long did that feud go on?
I think about, it was like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that. And then I talked to the men, the international belt Tommy had, and I talked them into that. So somehow in there. And then I took the international belt and went for about 8 months. Just slowly. There was King Kong Bundy here and Rick Rude, and then I was like the third from the top as far as the heel side. And I had my little international belt, and I was wrestling Randy Savage and Lanny Poffo, and just trying to think of a couple others that threw in there. Terry Taylor came in for a little bit, and I wrestled him, and so about 8 months there, and then a strange thing happened. I don't know what your next question is, but please come with it if you.
What was the strange thing?
Because I'm running in here thinking things that ran into each other there.
So got 4 hours a day. You can talk about it.
Okay, what happened there is that this was like my eight months of being the international champion, and Lawler had been doing his top program with like Rick Rude and King Kong Bundy. And then Rick Rude, Bundy left, and then it was Rude, and all of a sudden I got the notch up, and I was going, wow, process elimination won't be long. I'll finally be there. Jimmy Hart was my manager, and I was real happy, and going, yeah. I went home getting to be a heel, and getting to do everything, but I still hadn't got that Lawler's attention yet to want to work the program with me. And then Rick Rude up and left for some reason, and so we went to it was Nashville, Tennessee on a Saturday night, and Rude was gone, and so they sent word over to us for all of us to go out to the ring, all the heels, about 7 of us I think on that side. And the way that they did everything, the interns were together, a tag team, mass tag team. Roger Smith was one of them, and Eddie Marlin went to him and said, I want y'all to look like you're passing something out, back and forth out there so the people will boo y'all, and we're going to have the people pick the person they hate the most to wrestle Lawler for the title in Nashville. And so we sat over there, and I didn't really think anything about it. And we got out there, and they did all their stuff and everything, and the people still picked me. And I got to wrestle Lawler that night, and he listened to the people, and then they did that in each city. In each city, the people picked me. And then on the interviews, I started saying that I was the next king, and this and this and this, and all of a sudden I started Lawler.
How long did that go on until your next stop?
For when I started Lawler?
Yeah.
It ended 84, started into 85, and then Tom Ernesto came in as Booker, and then I took off to Mid-South, what later became EWF. About March of 85, April 85, somewhere in there.
And what was your first big angle in Mid-South? There was that turnaround with the Russians, or I can't even remember that.
That was, she just brought the picture, the portrait thing I did was the first thing that I ever did as a heel to bring anything to it. What I did when I first got there, in Memphis, as a heel, I got real comfortable with the fact that I was the top heel in Memphis, and you just have that feeling when you walk out that the people hate you. And when you go somewhere new, you really got to work when they don't know who you are. to get that over. And all of a sudden I went to Mid-South, and Bill Lundy was booking, and he wanted me to do the general Eddie Gilbert that I'd done here, that Lawler had done, and manage a guy named The Nightmare, which is Randy Colley, and he became the North American champion. I was managing him, but I didn't really feel good in that role or anything, and then I wound up being a babyface for a little while, and really not really finding what my character was. And then Jake Roberts is the one that had the idea. Jake Roberts had the idea that all of a sudden I turned on the Fantastics and I get this portrait made of myself, but it was a rib on me is what it was, because Jake said get it done, and whatever it costs, give the receipt to Bill Watts and he'll reimburse you. And it was $495, I think, at the time. And I remember turning in and Bill laughed at me like 3 straight weeks to get it back to me, so I had to go in for $500. So Jake really didn't know whether the thing would get over or not. He just did. It really riveted me, and it did get over. I went on TV every week and says, you know, the people writing letters and tell me why they want the portrait of myself, and it worked. All of a sudden I had this new character, and from there on I got to go on, and that was the first deal. I had a little run there as the Mid-South Tag Champions with The Nightmare again together. And then a little bit later, I announced my retirement, that I was going to I would start managing a Russian named Porchenko, and the Blade Runner, Sting and Rock, or Ultimate Warrior, whoever. And we had some interesting trips. And then Rick Steiner came in about the same time too, but he was first, second match, and I still hadn't got a hold of him yet as far as molding him and talking to him and everything. And then we got with the Russian Porchenko, they brought Ivan Koloff and Nikita in. And I think Bill Watts had done something to me the week before, or had done something to the Russian or something like that, because I had this idea, and this was another one I enjoy when I'm able to get these, because this was an idea, but it got Bill Watts to thinking that I could come up with some good ideas or angles or something. So I came up with a thing where I go down to the ring, and I would go dressed really just subtle, because I was always wearing outrageous looking pants and crazy teeny shoes, kind of like Jimmy Hart, crazy sunglasses, and running out there and acting a fool. So I wore like a pair of sweatpants and teeny shoes. Walked out to the ring and said, I want to call a great man out here. And Bill Watts came down, and I said, you're really a great man, and I want to tell you that, I'm sorry for everything I've done. You're right, I'm this, whatever he called me, an idiot, and I am that, and I just want to shake your hand. And he said, all right. He shook my hand. About that time, all the Russians came in from behind, and the Blade Runners come up the aisle, and they held Bill Watts, and I took this red painted shovel and I blasted him over the head with it, and he was bleeding, and I slapped him, and I laid the Russian flag over his face, and that started my first major. That'd been like doing the main event type angle with Lawler here. I did with Bill Watts there, and then I got to do some matches where if he won, he got 5 minutes with me alone, and I got to wrestle him for the whole 5 minutes, which was fun. And also, he whipped me. I let him whip me with a belt a few nights, too. But I showed him I'd take it. I was man enough. I took like 4 or 5 good licks with it before I jump out of the ring and run. Most guys would take 1 or 2, then leave. But I tried to show him I was man enough to do it. But I got a lot of my ideas across to him that way. And that was my angles, I guess, and to lead up to stuff.
And how long did you last in Mid-South?
From 1985 through the buyout of Crockett. Buying it out to the early part of 88, 85 to 88, I guess you should. But that, like I said, it was the UWF, Mid-South to UWF to NWA UWF. So,
what were some of the other major angles that you were running during those years? I'm going to drop in. I got a first generation on the turnaround with the Russians, so I'm going to drop that in there.
Okay.
Yeah, where did Missy come in?
The Missy deal was, I get a little fishy on this one, because it turned out it was like...
by the way, I'm a divorce attorney, so you're okay.
Okay, but this was funny. This whole angle, this whole idea was actually really what was going on, and that's what it was. When you see any of this tape of stuff of what happened, then it was real. It was going on. It was going on behind the scenes.
Did she hit John with the bag? Was that real?
I just don't want this on tape right here. Please don't.
Say that for later.
Yeah, let me just talk right there right now.
That was great.
But when you're looking at the things and looking at people's faces, and when we get in the ring and anytime Tatum, it always you know, I'm glad in the end that it always got to me that we were able to do so much stuff with each other and still somehow work in the same place on the same roof, because there was very tense moments a lot of people don't know about. At big arena shows like Houston, I remember one night a big thing happening. Sting was wrestling Tatum and Missy was at ringside. I think something happened. I was down. I had separate dressing rooms away from John and those guys, and actually I was away from everybody. Kind of like alienated with her, and I didn't get to see what happened because I was at the back, and somehow or another he whacked her pretty good or something, and it was during the start of it, and then she gets back. I mean, this kind of stuff went on, and so the stories never got to be told, but in the end of me and Missy when we first met was just like, I tried to stay away from her when I first saw her. I didn't really want to be around her, and then from what I could tell, it was about the same, and we finally I kind of just wandered into her room one night in Tulsa, Oklahoma after the matches. You ever see the tape where Sting and I won the UWF tag belts from the Fantastic, where Missy hits Tommy Rogers with the purse and John Tatum was with her? Well, that night was our first meeting after the matches. I was at the La Quinta in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I just kind of went out, and Missy opened up her door, and there she was, and I just kind of walked in, and we got to talking, and one thing led to another, and a few weeks later we were together. A lot of tense moments. But that was one of my favorite angles because it was a true life thing going on television, life imitating art and art imitating life, and it was the real thing. And then the greatest thing of all was being able to come back to Global a couple of years ago or a year ago and be able to see John Tatum and work with him and almost feel in a funny way that we were some kind of like family. I don't know.
Well, you've both been through the...
Exactly.
Yeah, you've both been on the same ride.
Yeah, it was fun. I had 4 good years, and I don't regret anything. So.
Well, now, you met Missy, when was that, about 80?
86 is when I met Missy.
So you were there for almost a couple of years with her, so it must have been tense a lot of nights.
Oh, anytime you're with Missy, that's what you mean. It's tense. It's real tense. You don't know, unless you're in public sometimes. A lot of weird things. John Gillum, my good friend, sitting over here at the other end of the room, so he can understand what I'm saying here too. And anybody that knows that was with me and Missy much in public, knows I'm kind of, when I go in somewhere, I like to have a ball cap on, a pair of glasses, and my coat turned up, and I just want to go eat and not be bothered by anybody about anything. I'm just kind of secretive and quiet and just won't be bothered. Period. And she wants to walk in with the black sunglasses on and the hair's back and blonde showing everywhere, and it's like a Hollywood starlet came in to the restaurant or store or airport or something, and it's not a fun thing for me. And plus when she threw tantrums, and which went on a lot, in public. Behind the scenes I don't care. It's fun in public. So it was tense a lot of times. I remember my dad looked at me and said, good luck.
And your dad was shaking his head.
I'll tell you, I got to say this too, and because I'm sure my family will see it. And it was tense on them too in the beginning of it because I put them through a lot of stuff. My dad put me through a thing one time with choosing him or my family or Missy. So, but they wound up. Everything worked out. It was tense time.
Listen, driving you nuts, did it affect your work?
I don't think so. I think it made me better. I think that's what probably made me decide and know that I work better under pressure than I do when I got a lot of time to think. So because if you think about it, in 87, we got married in October of 87. In March of 87 is when I got offered the booking job at Watts, and I was going through all this. And Watts knew it and called me in and asked me if I'd take the job and if I'd take as much power in the dressing room as Ken Mantell, and I said, yes, sir, this is what I've been waiting for. And he gave it to me, and I was still going through some stuff in personal life, but I was always able to, keep that separate, and I've always tried to do that if I can.
And so where was the relationship when the UWF sold out?
Where was the relationship?
I mean, where did you go, and what was the relationship?
Oh, okay. When UWF sold out, Missy had actually, it was good. At the time,
you can see the TV movie in years to come.
It's funny because when I got ready to leave, I got ready to leave the UWF because I thought Ken Mantell and have all respect in the world for Michael Hayes, and we became friends a couple of years after all this, because Michael Hayes is first cousin John Tatum, and you know, there were sides picked in this thing, but there was never anything said publicly. There was always that respect between us that we never ever got in any kind of argument or anything like that. And so, but I always felt there were sides, and I wanted to get out while I could, and all of a sudden one day in Baton Rouge, Vince McMahon called. While I was outside taking the garbage out to the dumpster, I'll never forget that I was coming back through, and Missy says, Vince McMahon's on the phone, he wants to talk to you. So I took the phone, and he flew us up 2 days later to talk to us. I was going to get through a hot seat thing like Piper did. That was the deal with me, and Missy got her tryout that she did. That's at the same time that's what was going on there. So she went to work like for a month or something for him. So I gave my notice on a Saturday morning in Memphis. We worked Memphis on a Friday night. I flew in from meeting with Vince McMahon on a Friday. Decided I wanted to get fired on Friday night from UWF because I was under contract. So I thought I'd do everything in the world I could that night to get fired, so I could go to work for Vince. So
what'd you do?
I didn't really. I guess first I don't even know what the finish. I don't even remember what the finish was. Who I was working with. But I told Ken Mantell I didn't want to do it, and he had to do it my way, and he did. That's what killed me. Everything got changed for my way that night. I was like, oh, no. So my brother, Doug, who was playing football then, it's his senior year, though, I had him come to ring with me in Memphis because people knew him, and I thought, I'll introduce Doug, and surely Ken's will get mad about this, and he'll fire me when I get to the back. I got to the back, and they said, good idea. You know, and I was saying, oh, my gosh, what do you do to get fired here? So I left that night, and me and Missy talked, and we went to the USWA TV taping the next morning. I wanted to see Lawler and see everybody and say hello. And so we went in, and I decided that I was just going to call Bill Watts from the WMC TV studios. Now, I'm working for the UWF. I've got Vince up here who's then told me all this, and I'm like, yeah, boy. And this is all I've ever wanted. I'm thinking things are finally falling in place here. Call Bill Watts. Bill, this is Eddie. I tell you, I'm just kind of, really not happy anymore. It's okay. I like to get out my contract, which he was very hard about that contract deal. He had you. He wasn't letting you go just about.
Well, now he had lost people already, right?
Yeah, but they had finagled out before there was really contracts. When the UWF was formed, that's when the contracts came in big time. One Man Gang could tell you about this, and because he kept him like 8 months more than he should. Gang wanted to go to Vince and everything, and he couldn't. And let's see, Trader, John, what are you doing over here? Put that down. Okay. Sorry. All right. And so when I called Bill, told him I want to get out of the thing, and he says, okay, but you know what, Eddie, I sure was thinking about giving you a shot at booking here. And I was like, the only thing in the world this guy could say that's going to keep me is booking. Because I started in 79, this was 85, 6 years later, I'm ahead of schedule, is what I'm figuring. Wow. You know, we're on national syndicated TV. This is not Memphis, this is Bill Watts I'm talking to. And I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, when? So, and then he started telling me the whole thing. He said, as a matter of fact, I want you to book the next Memphis card. I thought, man, all right, I know exactly what Memphis wants. So I did the Memphis card, told Missy. So the deal was made that I would stay and be booker if Missy could get out of her contract and go to the WWF. She got out, she went, I stayed. Then the buyout came right after that. And then Missy stayed, came back after the buyout and went back to work for Crockett and with Dusty booking. And I was naive enough to think in my first meetings with Dusty that they were going to make it to UWF versus the NWA, but I soon found out. If you remember some of Ric Flair's interviews back then, he was shooting totally. So was Dusty. If you ever say Nikita, when they talked about the TV belt, and I said something on TBS one time about the NWA had its greatest legends or something like that, but UWF was the new generation or something like that. And Flair just went off when he went on his interview, and I could tell I got to him. And it was a lot of friction there, tension between the UWF guys and the NWA. All of a sudden I used to be able to book my own cards for UWF even with the buyout, and then Dusty started faxing me the cards for the UWF to use, and I knew then it was the demise. And I finally got out in December of '87 and I came back to Memphis in about January of '88, and that's where we did the fire angle with Lawler, where I came into the ring. Lawler was wrestling Tommy Rich, and my brother Doug hit the ring, and I wasn't scheduled to be there at night. I came in my clothes on and threw the big fireball in water space, and that's when I talked him into going for the fire. Got to start doing the fire for the deal. So we came to Memphis, stayed 3 months. Got a call from Alabama. They said that they were new owner, wanted to change everything, and so they called me, and I said, yes, I'll go. And I went down there and booked for 6 months.
But now, what happened to the relationship when she's working for Dusty and you're up in Memphis for 3 months?
Oh, she came with me.
Oh, she came with you.
Yeah. Her loyalty was there. She was with me through thick and thin during those times. So.
Okay, then you go to.
She came to Memphis and was just a valet, Missy High with me. I mean, she went from that star status of being with WCW, UWF to Memphis. She was okay. Went to Alabama. I made her commentator there with Charlie Platt on the show, and that way she was doing her job, and that way I wasn't involved in the wrestling part. And I was able to book and everything. I liked Alabama too. I had good memories of Alabama.
Who brought you down there?
Jack Curtis brought me down there. He was from the OUWF crew there, I guess you'd say. So he was Bill Watts had told him to call me about coming in, and I was real happy about that too. And it worked. We were successful. What was great was that UWF, when I took over, and I didn't know it, at the time. And that's what was funny. And I've said this a lot of different times, but most time that I was successful, I didn't really know I was. UWF, whenever we went on our first national tour, I remember Amarillo, Texas, was pulling up there, and there were cars all over the front. I said, it's got to be something else. And we got inside. Terry Taylor, who was probably my best friend then, he was the best man in my wedding with Missy, and it took him and Missy telling me that we were successful, the gates were good, and that the TV was turned around. We were drawing people in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Then the buyout came, which just totally got me. I thought, man. And then the thing with Dusty and the head games got me. I was getting really disinterested in the business or those kind of games, and came to Memphis. The fire angle worked. We saw Memphis jump back up again. So I was going into Alabama on a good high. Changed everything there. Changed it from being, I think it was Continental Championship Wrestling, CCW or something like that. And we changed it to CWF, Continental Wrestling Federation, so it'd be more into like the UWF was and the WWF with the Elf there. Federation. Took all 3 belts, made 1 out of it, 1 area champion. That's what I worked the whole time I was there towards, was to have 1 champion. I had all the singles belts turned in, and we worked to a big tournament. The Road to Birmingham is what we called it the whole time I was there, and we worked up to that. I never made it to the Road to Birmingham. Got right up there, but never made it to the finished product of my booking there because of the owner. And I had this little agree on a few things. So that was the Alabama.
How long was the run there?
6 months.
And that's where you were first with Paul E.
Yeah, Paul E. I knew that Paul E. I'd seen Paul E.'s stuff, and I really enjoyed. I remember Paul. See, Paul was a photographer. Did interviews with me when he was like 13, when I was in WWF. When I was wrestling, I remember Paul from there. Paul Heyman. I remember being a photographer, and that. I saw him a lot when I was up there at the matches and talked to him, and then he didn't know that whenever he got into the business, whenever he became Paulie Dangerously, that I didn't even remember who he was. And I saw him in Atlanta here in '88. I came down to do a tape for Tommy Rich in Atlanta for Blackwell then when he had his group going, and Paul was there managing, and he came up to me to shake hands, and he was going to say Paul like that, and I said, I know who you are, you don't have to tell me, I remember you. And he said, oh yeah, and I told him I liked his stuff, and so he said anytime that I had a booking job, or if I ever wanted to bring him anywhere, please give him a call. And whenever I got to Alabama, I knew it needed a manager, a good one. And Paul was the kind of guy that could draw Southern heat real good. Paul's the kind of guy that can draw all kinds of heat from everybody. But he's a good. I think he's a great talent for a business. And we had a good run there, and he helped me. I had Paul. That's when I took Doug and Paul were my 2, I guess you'd say, assistants, because both of them I wanted to teach anything that I had learned since I was even like 12 years old. I want to try to let other people know about, because I figure it's the best. Everybody right now is worried about steroids and sex scandals in the WWF, and I think we all should be worrying about the 500 channel super highway. How many wrestling channels we're going to have. So that's things we got to be thinking about now. So that's so.
Now you and Paul ran an angle with John here, didn't you?
With who?
Did you use John's name wasn't it?
I use John a lot. I use John a lot. John, come here. Say, you gotta be seen. Come here. Come here. Just come here. Let people see you. They may on a tape. They'll see you. They'll see you. Come here. You gotta say hello to everybody. Come here. This is my friend John. John, say hello.
Hey.
Okay, that's enough. Go ahead. See, now, if you do this back and you have slow motion on your video machine there, you can slow it down and see John longer.
But didn't you do it?
Put it on pause. I did a few angles with John I'd like to tell you about. And if you give John 3 beers, he'll tell you all of them.
What about the one where, let me see, you offer $10,000 to anybody in the audience?
That's right. That was the first one.
Yeah, tell us about that.
That was the first one. That was, oh man, these Alabama ones was the best though with John. John, you can go back and sit down. You understand that. He has bad arthritis too. All driven. Top rope. He's been. So we used to go down. We did a thing where I'd go down and say $10,000 to anybody, any wrestler or wrestling fan that could beat me. It's kind of like the Andy Kaufman deal with the women, but I'd seen this deal done when I was a kid with, like I was a junior, senior in high school. Adrian Adonis doing the $10,000 Golden Challenge in the Amarillo area. Any of you guys will look back at that and see what I'm talking about. So I remember that and used that in Alabama because we had no belt to put up, so I took money and put it up. So I had 6 months building for the big belt thing, and then 6 months to use money as to put up instead of a belt. So I go down and I would pick, and man, every week, you see these old farmers standing, these big old boys, horses, like Hoss Cartwright in the crowd, and women look like Hoss Cartwright in the crowd. And it was real ugly women, but big ones. They wanted to fight me and get in the ring. And so one week what we did was have John Gilbert sit in the front row with this farmer's-looking shirt on, kind of like he really wears it, and his ball cap, and his glasses, and everything. And he said a pair of jeans and boots on, I think it was. I think he had a T-shirt on, didn't he? So, I'm trying to remember everything. So Paul says, anybody in the crowd, everybody stands up. Oh, this is on TV. We have this on tape. Don't have it, it's good. But we're sitting there, we're looking around the crowd, and then we got the camera panning. There's this big men, there's these big women. They all want to get in the ring with me. And all of a sudden, we pick John Gillen, but we don't know it's John Gillen. We pick John. And John comes in the ring, and he's in his jeans and boots and his ball cap. And so Paul calls him over to me, and Paul does the whole deal, though, because I couldn't hold a straight face just about it, because I was standing there looking at John going, oh, man, if he makes it through, this will be great. So Paul says, what's your name? And he says, John Gillen. And but it was good. And Paul had John look in the camera and do a disclaimer that it was okay for do this $10,000 gold challenge if he gets hurt. He took John's cigarettes out of his pocket, and I saw John get mad. I thought John was going to deck him there, and threw his cigarettes out to the front row. John had no idea his cigarettes were going. And so we, I think he took his shirt off. I think so, or I either pulled it off of him or something. But I beat the hell out of him. And I gave him a pile driver, and then after when he was down and he's shaking from the pile driver, I go, and if you look at this thing, it's good. I go down to grab his pants, and I think he thought, here Eddie is going to pull this big rib on me in the business now. He's going to pull my pants off on TV, which now, looking back at it, I wish I had, because it would have been easy to do. But I reached down to get his belt to pull it off to whip him, because I thought, here's something to do, and I'm going to get him good, too, because he can't do anything about it. So I reached down to go get his belt, and he clamped on my hand. He goes, no, don't do it. I said, give me your belt. I'm not going to take your pants off. And he lets go, and I got his belt off, and I whipped him good, too. He had about 4 good red legs on there. And then Austin Idol comes down to the ring and saves him. And the good part about it was that at the end of the deal, they're carrying John back on the stretcher, and somebody takes his cigarettes and puts them back on his chest from the crowd. So he got his cigarettes back, and he was happy. But the greatest story of all, of anything we've done with John, is something that's not on film, it's not on tape, and no one has. Like, 3 weeks later, this is a good story. 3 weeks later, since John, we've already seen John, but we can put this back in again, how John looked. And you can remember this, and see that we had this match between Jerry Lawler and Austin Idol in Dothan, Alabama. I had done a thing where I beat up Pez Wadley, who was Willie B. Hurt's son. I beat him up on TV, the son. Beat the son. A fan came out of the crowd with a knife, actually, too, on that tape. You'll see him in Birmingham. He come out, and so me and Willie B. had a match. Austin Idol and Jerry Lawler had a match. We had a thing where Austin Idol got Jerry Lawler into a figure 4 leg lock. The referee's down. The people in Dothan know I hate Idol, but they also know the history because I'd shown it on tape of me and Lawler. So I come down to the ring, they don't know who I'm going to help. So I burned Idol. Lawler got the win. But when Lawler come up, of course, he helps Idol out like he didn't mean for it to happen and everything. So then Idol was off the next week. So I put on the booking sheet for Dothan, me against Mr. Dothan. So all week long, especially Jerry Stubbs, who was Mr. Olympia or whatever he was there, he come, who, am I Mr. Dothan? You're just changing my name. Everybody wanted to know if they were Mr. Dothan. And on the interview, I said Bob Armstrong and Ron Fuller and Robert Fuller and Jerry Lawler may be coming back under the mask as Mr. Dothan, or it could be Austin Idol. And so all week long, the boys were asking me. Then it got to where towards the weekend, towards Saturday night, Missy got to asking me about it. Well, who are you going to put in? I said, well, I got somebody in mind. I'm not going to tell you now. You won't believe it. You'll think I'm nuts. And so then Doug came to me like Saturday afternoon and said, by the way, who's Mr. Dothan? I said, I'll let you know tonight. It's a surprise. Then Paul, on the way to Dothan, says, Eddie, you hadn't said a word about Mr. Dothan all week. You hadn't said about it all day. Who is it? I don't even know. You're keeping me in the dark on the thing. It's okay enough for Missy, I see. I don't understand with Doug, but why keep me in the dark? So I told him, I said, you won't believe it when we do it, and I'll just wait till we get ready to do it because you're going to call me crazy. So in the meantime, I already talked to someone, though, when I get to what happened, so you understand that all this was actually set up in my mind, and I'd already taken care of a few things before this, and I didn't actually put my job on the line, like it looked like for about 10 minutes. So we get to the building. Everybody's looking around. Is anybody new in the building, in the dressing room? Is anybody new there that we figure is going to wear a mask, be Mr. Dothan, or someone come in with the mask on saying they're Mr. Dothan? Now everyone's coming into my room in Dothan saying, okay, who is it? Don't know. We get to know, and we had to hit the ring. Doug's asked me, Paul. I said, go get John Gilbert. And when I went, and they went, and Paul, seriously, I mean, I think he asked Paul that now, he will tell you that I mean, he thought that night that you might as well just lock me up. I mean, I had just lost it. I mean, now we had sold Dothan out. Now, I got to say this too. We sold it out the week before. It was the first $10,000. It was like $10,800. And I had taken it from doing $1,200 on a Saturday night to doing $10,000 on a Saturday night. Great feeling. Come back the next week, went over 11 with some Mr. Dothan. Turn people away. We got John Gillam. Now, I've got into the back. And everybody's looking at me, and Missy's even going, you're nuts. You crazy? You better not do this. These people will die if you do this. I said, well, I'm not going to send him out there the way he is. I sent Paul and Doug, and everybody went to Danny Davis and Ken Wayne, and I'm not sure, I think it's Ken Wayne's boots, Danny Davis's tights, Jerry Stubbs' mask is Mr. Olympia. He wore a Austin Idol t-shirt, and he was everything was covered. He had tight, but he had everybody else's on, but no one knew that in the crowd. So, Mr. Olympia's mask and everything. This is a little trivia for everyone from that night. And so I went to the ring with Paul. Everybody's wondering. Now the boys, some of them still don't know. Some of them know, but most of them don't know. And when they're hearing what it is, they're going, no, he's not going to send John out there like that. So me and Paul get in the ring, and all of a sudden they start this music, dun, 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 and all of a sudden here comes this mask guy walking to the ring. And I remember this feeling in the crowd go just rumble like, oh no, and then John was making noises. You hear this pity pat. Now he's scratching his pants. If you hear that too. So stop what you're doing. See, don't you see why I beat the hell out of him? So John comes walking down to the ring. He's got this mask on. He's looking at me, and he's coming down the ring. Now all the boys have stayed. A lot of them like leaving early. A lot of boys have come out to watch this match, and they're watching, and they're shaking their head, going, "He's lost it. He'll be gone tomorrow. He's going to get fired. He's going to kill this town tonight." He gets into the ring, and I grabbed the mic. I said, "Who are you?" on the microphone, and this old man sitting behind me on the front row yells out, "That's that same son of a bitch you knocked the hell out of 3 weeks ago here." And I was like, I started almost laughing because I thought, no one remembered John Gillam from the $10,000 thing on TV. And sure enough, somebody remembered him right there. So I'm going, wow, this is great. It's even better than what I thought. So we went ahead and we locked up. We actually started the match. Now I've got everybody thinking this is the match. This is the main event. Mr. Dothan is John Gillam against me in the main event. And I backed myself in the corner. I said, John slapped the shit out of me. And John backs me into the corner. And Pee Wee Anderson, Randy Anderson was the referee, and he got between us. And I'm telling Randy and everything. All of a sudden, John slaps the hell out of me. And I said, John, when I come running out of this corner, I want you to arm drag me. Okay, because me and John used to wrestle as kids. So John knows how to do the arm drags and everything, lock up and the whole deal. So I come running out of the corner. He gives me an arm drag. After a slap, I took a bump, scooted out to the floor, fell on my rear end. Paul comes to me, and I look, and John Gillum's up in the ring with that mask on, and he's like doing Muhammad Ali around the ring, and the people are going nuts. They're standing up going crazy. And I'm thinking, my God, we have made John Gillum in Dothan. I remember the feeling going, oh, Lord, maybe I can't believe this. We really made anybody now. So anyway, then I remember the most panicking feeling I ever had, though, was when I was outside the ring, and I grabbed the microphone. I said, who is this guy? Is he a boxer or what is he? And John Gillum asked for the microphone, and I remember almost panicking, going, oh no, God, he'll kill the place if they hear him talking here. And so I remember yelling, no, put the microphone down. John did. I went back into the ring, jumped him, gave him like 3 pile drivers. I said, now I'm going to pull the mask off. Pull the mask off. Now the people feel like they just got screwed, paid their hard-earned money to see this, and we've taken advantage of it. All of a sudden, Austin Idol, who had been in the parking lot, in his car the whole time, none of the wrestlers knew he was there, had the mask on, the patch, came to the ring, and he had this axe handle that he called Bertha or something like that. He brought it into the ring and started whacking me with it, and I was bleeding from it. And then we let him take Paulie and break his arm with it. And the people loved it, went crazy. And Dothan stayed up from there, and I went back home that night, and everybody couldn't believe it that John Gillum left the ring with Austin Idol. The people loved him because Idol in the end kicked the tire at us, and the people loved it and left there happy. And that's the reason why I messed with them at the start of it. It was mind games with the wrestlers, because you find out then who your stooges are, who's going to go behind your back and knife you in the back. So Monday morning I was in the office for David Woods to come in to say, after about 10 minutes of our meeting, and he goes, by the way, I heard John Gillum worked the main event in Dothan. And I said, yeah. And he said, how come? And I knew he'd heard probably a lot of different stories, and I gave him the full story, and he understood, and he got a big kick out of it, and that was my greatest John Gillum story. He worked the main event in Dothan to a sold-out crowd.
So
you can do it with anybody.
If you brought all this business up in Alabama, why the hell were you forced out?
The worst problem in our business is that it's like right now what's going on is that the reasons why everyone's happy, and I'm talking about everyone, I think everyone out there knows what I'm talking about, is people want to knock Vince McMahon or knock our business or knock Ted Turner, who he's hiring and whatever, and we're so into that we don't, and guys, it's just like the guys in our business are always hoping that this booker if this booker that comes in doesn't do exactly with that person what they think should be done, well, they're going to knock him in the back and let's get somebody else in here. And that struggle, that power struggle goes on from day one when the booker takes over. As with the boys, you've got to try to keep harmony, but there's always those select few that think they can do the job a little bit better or have a person that will keep them in the right spot. It had grown there. I think David Woods thought that I had gotten too independent, but that's just the way I work. That's not anything. That's nothing personal. I think David Woods. I think a year later, me and him talked and everything. He said if he'd known me he become to know me after I worked for him, that he would understand that. But I like to be left alone and really not be bothered by George Steinbrenner type owners that want to have hands on. I'm better off just being left alone. Bill Watts did that when he gave me the job. I never heard a word from him or anything, but that's the reason. I think it's power, other people greedy, and
business fell off pretty quick after you left.
He had to fold up like 4 months later, I think. So.
Well, didn't he get a clue after a couple of months?
Yeah, I had an idea before I went back. Before I went back to Memphis in '90, when I felt that my tenure with the booking committee in WCW was coming to the end, I made a proposal to David Woods that I would come back and that he and I talked about this thing, and I think it was another deal too. I want to be half owner. Actually, I'd like to be the owner, but the half owner of the Alabama thing if my salary was cut down and so forth and so on. And so I had an idea of rerunning our old tapes with Paul E. and Paul had already been let go from WCW, and Paul E. and Charlie Charlie Platt, who was our show host and everything, redoing the shows. Like I say, this was from this time, re-showing over like 6 weeks and then restart up the Alabama territory. But I just, they didn't like Paul E. and they didn't understand Paul, and I did, and I just didn't want to go back there without him. And David didn't really like Paul at all. And that I got to be honest with you too, that was another reason why David and I had this misunderstanding stuff too. Paul is like me a lot of times. He'll say things that maybe he shouldn't, but he does for the best interest of the business and himself and everybody else. And David Woods took it the wrong way and thought a lot of times it was me saying it when it was Paul E. So that was one of the problems.
Where do you go from Alabama?
Alabama, I go back to WCW. I go back in. That's when Ricky Steamboat and I do the match with Barry Windham and Ric Flair on TV. I go back like 2 months. Me and Ron Simmons wrestled the Fantastics on a Clash for the United States Tag Titles. I remember the Fantastics won it because I went in with a hurt arm or something, and they worked on that. And then I missed a turnbuckle or something. And that night, though, I found out before I went to the ring, Jimmy Crockett told me that Ricky Steamboat was coming in, and Ric Flair wanted to work a program with me. That made my night. And worked with Barry Windham, and I was real happy about that too. I've always had respect for Barry. And so I went from that thing with the Fantastics to working the thing with Ric Flair and Barry Windham on TBS. Brought Ricky Steamboat in as my partner. And we were together till, I think George Scott came in and took over the booking. Then I became Rick Steiner's tag team partner, and we got the U.S. tag belts. Missy was managing us. And not long after that's when George Scott was let go. The booking committee was put together, and we hear some people yelling outside the room right now. But the booking committee was put together. I got a call to be on that with some other good gentlemen and conflict of personalities. And we went from there with the committee. And I kind of withdrew myself from the road as far as wrestling because I knew then that I really wanted to be in the office more than on the road. And that was in the latter part of '89, I guess. March of '89 is when I got on the booking committee. Came off the booking committee in about November, December of '89. And wound up coming back to Memphis in '90.
And how long was that stay?
Wow.
That was long. That was
tired here.
That was until that sort of went into the Goodhart.
Yeah, see, that also in '90 is when me and Missy busted up, and there was a lot of things that played on that too. At the end of the booking committee run, Kevin Sullivan was on there. He had his girlfriend, whatever, Nancy, using her some stuff. Flair liked her. Flair made the power play to get the booking job, got it. Missy was off TV. Missy's ego didn't like that too much, and I understand that, but it's very hard dealing with that at home. And also me working in the office on the committee, me getting blamed because she wasn't on TV and was supposed to stay at home. It was very hard. It was a very complex situation. It was a time when I wish that we could have separated business and personal, but it was both, and it wound up being too much for either one of us actually to handle. So we ended the marriage in '90, and I came back home. I thought coming back home, I felt better. I wanted to come back, and that's when I first hurt my arm, my shoulder that I knew about. I first hurt it in 1985. Match with Randy Savage in Evansville, Indiana, and I come off the top rope with an elbow like this. I used the left arm to show you, and as I came down, Randy stood up, and his head caught under my elbow and shot my arm straight in the air, and I heard a pop. And from that day on, my shoulder just gave me trouble, and then the more bumps I took, the more things I did with it, the worse it got. And in '90, I remember, like in about March of 1990, in a match with the Freebirds, Johnny Ace was my partner, somewhere in North Carolina somewhere, and I remember reaching out for the ropes to pull myself up with my right arm, and I couldn't pull. And I knew then, and I went home, and I called the doctor, WCW doctor, and I went to him like 3 times. He did these tests. He didn't find the tear. I felt like it was being railroaded kind of a little bit.
Is that a rotator cuff?
Yeah, because I knew that I had been, I wasn't on the end real good with WCW at this time. I mean, I had my wrestling job, still under contract, getting my money, but I knew I wasn't politically in with the booking committee or the booker being Ric Flair. About that time, also, he lost his job. Ole took over while I was hurt, and that's also another decision. I just wanted to get out. Jim Hurd let me out of my contract, and I came back to Memphis in 1990. That's when I got the booking job in Memphis, I guess like 2 months later. My first full-time booking job in Memphis. And We had the big tournament in Memphis for the world title, brought Funk and Idol and Dick Murdoch, Dick Slater, people like that, and had a $20-something thousand house, I think, that night. Built towards that. Enjoyed that stuff. Got to work with Jeff Jarrett in a program for the Southern title where I got to talk about him wanting to be the future owner of the territory and wanted to write my checks. I had fun saying that, and then in turn I let him talk about my marriage being over with Missy. So we had a few people believe in us, I think, and I enjoyed that. And then I got to work with Lawler again, and that's when we did the car angle. And I remember, I gotta tell you this story. He may not ever say it's true, but it's funny though, because I remember we was leaving Louisville one day. And he had pulled up this place to eat or get gas, and I was behind him. And I got out. I said, "Can I ride with you a ways?" And Doug drove or something, and John, I think, was with us too. And I rode with Lawler. And we was thinking about stuff to do that hadn't been done in Memphis. That's very hard. I mean, unless you just shoot somebody. And I think I may have something coming up. No, but I think
that's Oneida.
Yeah. I think maybe now. I mean, we laughed about stuff like that. And I would just sit there thinking. We was looking out the window. And I remember we almost got all the way to Evansville, and still nothing to really come out. And I just remember looking out the window and going. Because he said, even if we got outside the studio, and I said, so what can we do? Because I already done a thing where I body slammed him through the windshield back in '88 in a parking lot brawl with him. So I couldn't do that. And so I was thinking, I said, it would be really great. And I remember just looking, I said, now you may think I'm crazy. And I used that line from Terry Funk when he tells you an idea. You may think I'm crazy, but I said, you may think I'm crazy with this, but I think, if I came at you with a car, do you think you could jump in time? Like, it looked good. I'm going to look good. I'm telling you, it looked good. And he went, you know what? When I was in high school, I did that as a stunt one time, and I went, wow. I'm going, he's going to go for this. And he did, and he went for it. And another good trivia thing is this dude, you can ask Brian Lee this story because he was there at TV that morning. I had driven my 4Runner Toyota pickup truck that I have to the TV, so naturally we couldn't do the run over with my truck because it's too high and it just went over Jerry. So there really wouldn't be an angle after that. I'd be in prison and be my last angle. So beforehand I'm going, I need a car. So I go to Brian Lee. Doug had talked to Brian, and they'd been real good friends. I didn't really know Brian that well. And Brian, can I borrow your car? Yeah, man, it's not really my car, but it's my girlfriend's car, or somebody's car. I just want to say that. Some person's car. I don't, whatever. Somebody's car, his friend's car. And so he said, yeah, but just, he's not going to dent the hood or anything, is he? And I said, no, he's going to jump. And he's just going to hit the thing and roll off, and it'll be over with. He said, okay, man, just, don't dent it up. It's not my car. I said, okay, don't worry about that. Don't worry about a dent. He will not dent it. And he didn't. It thing punched so fast when I take off from this thing, and he didn't realize it either. And I didn't think of whatever, I forget, it was a Ford or something, Taurus or something, but I didn't think it had to pick up from the point where I was at, and it did. When I hit the floorboard, I remember seeing Eddie Marlin still standing there thinking, I'm going to hit him, and what do? I can't stop. It's live TV. And I go straight, and Lawler went to jump, but I was too fast for him. And it knocked him up. It hit his leg that he broke in a football game back in 77 or 78 or something. It hit him in the side of the leg there, and it knocks him up on the car when you see the thing. And the first thing that I remember seeing whenever I hit him was his ass in my face through the windshield. He busted the windshield of the car. He didn't dent it, the hood. He busted the windshield, but his rear end was right in my face. And then he went over the top. And I remember it was so bad, the feeling of it, and the hit, and the lick, and just the feeling, the adrenaline going on at the time, because I thought, you only get one take at this, and plus, and that's just, but it's live TV. Nothing's been rehearsed. I have rehearsals in wrestling, and there's not rehearsals, and not for my stuff anyway. So, and going at a guy on live TV, it's life or death, and you don't know for sure what's happening. And I remember driving off with Doug, and I stopped for a very short second on the tape, or slow down. And what I say to Doug is, do you think he's okay? And Doug turns around and looks and says, I think you killed him. And I remember oh no, and I drove on off, and I drove off and we pulled out of the parking lot. We went up and there was like a Poncho's Mexican restaurant 2 blocks up. And the winch, and by now I'm going, what do we tell Brian? You know, what do we say to Brian? He's just kill me. You know, I'm not worried now. I killed the guy, and I got the windshield to take care of. This guy's going to be dead either way here. I think I'm in prison. I'm turning in this restaurant to turn around to go back to the TV station. All of a sudden, these boys are watching it on TV on the inside. They come around and say, "Oh, you just ran over Laura in the car. He's dead." Ah! And they're yelling at me and laughing. And oh, man, we got to get back, Doug. And I pulled back down the street, and I let Doug out in front of WMC Channel 5. And I said, "Go in and tell Brian about his windshield before I get back in here." I said, "Go in, because you're better friends with him. You can explain this to him." there's a Mr. Pride car wash right next to the WMC Channel 5 across from it there. And so first thing I think about is trying to make this car look as clean as possible when Brian sees it. So this is during the TV show. I pull into Mr. Pride. The windshield is broken. I get out. All of a sudden I hear an ambulance coming. I get out. This lady comes out and says, "What can I do for you?" And I said, "Well, can you vacuum out the glass in here? I just ran over Jerry Lawler over part because I wanted to make sure she knew it was wrestling. I didn't know if she knew anything, and I just wanted to, don't ask any questions. I've got to get back. Can I leave the car here? Can you?" And he said, "Oh, yeah. Oh, look what he did. He went over with Jerry Lawler." So I go trotting back up the sidewalk. Now I see the ambulance pulling into the parking lot. I'm going, "Oh, he is. He's hurt. I've done it. You know, I've done it. This is the one. This is the guy I probably have more respect for than anybody, and I probably just ended everything of him. His legs or no telling what. I just remember I figured his ass had to be broke. So anyway, so I remember getting back into the studio. Lawler was in the back, but he's sitting there and he's got his pants up and the bruise is there, and then his hip is already turning black and blue from the deal. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just worried about this now. I'm pacing the floor and going, "Oh, you need to go to the doctor, get x-rays, the whole deal." The ambulance outside. The ambulance was there because a wrestling fan in Memphis, a bunch of them, had called them, not anybody from the TV station. Wrestling fans watching the show, the live show, called the ambulance to come and get him. Also, what the wrestling fans went ahead and did for us is they called the police to come and get me, because we wound up having 3 different sets of policemen, two guys coming in each time, 3 different times, to come to the front to get me. And they held them off, giving them some reasons that I had left or nothing really happened, and they said, "Well, we have to do something because it was Channel 5 parking lot, and the fans had called in, and they were going to have to do anything. Even if there was no charges pressed, they still had to question me or whatever." After the 3rd time, I figured it was about time I left TV. So Doug and I snuck out the back door. After we left, they said like 10 minutes later, cops pulled up and just closed everything off, every entrance, everything. They went in and looked for me, and I was already gone. And a lot of them were scared for the Monday night that they tried to come after me that Monday. And even when he went, and a lot of people said when he goes back out on the show, he kills the credibility of the car lick and everything. But what he did was trying to save my hide. Because if he had remained that way, everyone would have thought he's probably dead or half dead, even though he looked like Superman walking back out there. Believe me, he was not Superman. He was hurt. And he was hurt real bad. But he was just trying to save me and my scalp on the thing, by letting the people know at home that I'm better, I'll be there Monday night, I'm going to kick his rear end, da-da-da-da. So when I look back at it, I wish, too, that he had taken off like 2 months. And I even said, even if I had to go to jail for a week, if it'd get a wrestling angle over publicity and everything, I'd just about do anything for business. I'd have stayed in jail 7 days. If it would have done the right business, I would have done it. So, you heard it here first. Okay, that was the car angle.
Yeah, because there's a big misconception. Most people, I've had about half a dozen people call me this week and ask them if he hit the accelerator hard on purpose.
No, I did. That was Lawler and we were scared that it would look like I was going slow. When we talked about it, we kept saying to each other, and I'm saying it to him, because before I went out there, he said, "Make sure you hit it, or don't." And I said, "Don't worry, it's live TV. You don't have to worry. I don't want to get 1 star in Dave Meltzer's sheet. I want 4 for this angle." And so, and he didn't go on the gas fast enough, so we're gonna have to take a star away there. So I did. I went on it fast, but not on purpose. On purpose, get the angle over, not on purpose to hurt him. maybe to run over Eddie Marlin.
You get him in a wheelchair.
He needs that beat.
How long were you booking in Memphis? You weren't booking when you went to Goodhart, were you?
When I went to Goodhart?
When you first started working for Goodhart, was that 91 or something?
No, it was during this time. I made some trips up there with Lawler. It was during about the same time I was doing the booking job. I went back up because I worked the Cactus Jack matches while I was booking and not booking and so forth. I went through 90 till Christmas or something like that around January. And Memphis is probably the worst place in the world to try to be a booker, unless you're part of the owner or from one of the families or something, because it's you got to please about 9 different people, and it's very, very hard because you can't please everybody. And after a while, it gets frustrating, and it's not worth it. And I saw that, and I just asked to be pulled away from it. And I did that till about January of 91, I guess. I took it like a month off. Missy and I went on a skiing trip, a lot of people don't know this. In January of 91, went to Aspen for a week. And we talked about getting back together and stuff like that, didn't do it. I think things that just went too, she had her deal, I was happy at home. And so I just had a nice vacation away, got back home. Had never been switched babyface in Memphis before. And that was the first time that Lawler finally decided to let that happen. And we did with Eric Embry. He came in booking, and Tom Pritchard was his partner, and we worked with him, with me and Lawler. And we had never been partners before, and Lawler and I only did it for a week or something as partners or something. So that was the first time for that. I don't know where we're at now.
Well, that's all right. I want to talk about the Goodhart shows.
Okay.
Cactus Jack.
We're in 91.
You must have known from the first match with Jack that you guys had this.
No, we didn't. I'm glad you brought that. You're great. You're natural. He's a natural. The first match that he and I had, and if you ask him this, he'll tell you if he really thinks back about it. The first match that we had was like a 15-minute draw, I think, in Philadelphia, the first match. It stunk. It was the worst match and going out there in front of the hardcores and knowing what kind of match you got to have. And what was funny was that Jack or I neither one of us knew whether we were babyface or heel in Philadelphia, because when I came back up, the last they had seen me, I was a babyface in Atlanta. Cactus Jack looks like a heel, but he had his hardcore following. And so it was like split, and we weren't working the right way. We were just having a regular match. We didn't know what was yet to come until the first time that we were booked in a gimmick match, and that's what we asked to be booked in, whatever that was the next time. I'm trying to remember what that was. The first of the series, whatever that was. There was so much of it. So when we came back in our first gimmick match, it's when we took off, and we were just able to kill each other and go all over the building, and whatever came next, we just went with it. If I saw him with the umbrella and he's about to hit me, he just hit me. If we got up on a table and he picked me up for a pile driver, it was just coming. Whether the table stayed there when he come down, a lot of times it didn't. It just went down too.
Okay, but what about when you dumped the trash can, you pick up a bottle?
Yeah, that was oh man.
Because it looked like you were thinking for half a second, should I or shouldn't I?
Good, I did a good job. No, that was another time too that we always try to think about what can you do that haven't been done and stuff like that, and everything about that was very much it was a wine cooler bottle. So if you know how hard those things are, that's how hard it went over his head, because what I had to worry about when I hit him with it was to make sure that I hit him hard enough that it did break. And that was what I took the time out looking. That's a thought, because first off, I didn't know. It's a small bottle, and first off, hitting him like this with it, I don't know whether when it breaks, if it's going to stab me in the hand, cut me, how bad it's going to cut him. And I just knew, because him and I both had just laid our bodies on the line for each other for these matches, and we knew that we couldn't go out there and do any less for anybody else. The people that paid to see it would do a good heart for ourselves and for everybody else. I mean, we take too much pride in what we do, and that's the way he felt when he came off the side of the apron with his elbows, and he's just, he's killing his hip. And I kept telling him, I'll keep telling him today, and if you see this, please quit doing that to yourself. So he comes off the apron with those big elbows on the floor, and he's killing his body. But we agreed to do that when I went out there that night. when we got the garbage can down, saw the bottles, and I went, hell, this is great. And whacked him with it, and it busted. And it was a great feeling, but there was a lot of worry about it beforehand. But after it was over with, I was happy. I remember seeing Cactus at the intersection beside the Marriott. We were so happy over the match that when neither one got showered at the arena, we were still bloody. We dried blood on us, all over our tights, everything, but we're so like, yes, this is great, it did it, the bottle, did you see that? And he got carried back, no. And we were so happy about that. I remember pulling up next to him at an intersection at a traffic light, and he was staying at a separate hotel, but I look over there, and I look, and there's all this tape around this guy. And I didn't know what he was driving, didn't know what he was in. I said, man, that guy's been in an accident or something. He said, I looked over and I looked again. He turns out, listen, gives me that funny looking grin. And it was Cactus with all this tape and bandage and all this. And he's walking into his hotel that way. And I walked into the lobby of the Marriott with all the wrestling fans there. And I had tape. I couldn't get my head stopped bleeding. I had a bad cut right here in the middle of it. And I had taken tape and put a gauze pad on it and did it real tight. And it stopped. And Doug was with me, and we got inside, got up to the room, the Marriott room. I remember Stan Lane and Cornette and those guys were there. Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton were there that night because they were in the dressing room. And Doug went out with them. I couldn't leave the room that night. I wanted to come down because I couldn't get my head to stop bleeding. And I had to stay in the room all night. I had cabin fever. I wanted to see everybody and want to talk to everybody.
That was the hardest core bar scene there ever was.
Yeah, and I know, because a lot of times I do enjoy getting to talk to a lot of people and getting their opinions on stuff. And that was one night I wish I could have come down. I couldn't. There was no way.
That's the one bar where the wrestlers get applause when they come down.
Yeah, and it's a good feeling too.
Yeah.
But those matches with Cactus were someone never forget. I love watching some of them sometimes.
Now, what did you think when he flipped into the barbed wire and hung himself in that?
He's nuts.
I mean, were you worried about him then? Because he lost a lot of blood that night. He had to go to the hospital that night, didn't he?
Yeah, he lost a lot of blood that night. So he lost. I think the most blood he lost was the night of the bottle, and the barbed wire. The barbed wire probably did less than it looks like. Just for the fact that that we tried to keep it off of it. It was very. I mean, this guy really and truly, this guy Cactus went out to really make sure y'all saw a good action-packed man and do stuff to himself just to inflict pain for your pleasure. And he did that barbed wire just for the fans, for all you out there.
What happened in your second run recently back in Philadelphia?
Well, a lot of good stuff, a lot of fun stuff. I enjoyed it. I had a good, in 6 months it was fun. That's what I agreed to when I went up for 6 months. It was, I think in the end, probably the thing that I'd probably say the best would be that Paul Lee learned too well. So I'll leave it at that. It was a good learner.
In other words, they didn't want two bookers out there.
Not really. No, he learned well from me. He knows how to direct his business. I trusted him.
Yeah. What happened in Japan with that wings thing?
That was my brother, and nobody ever,
Wait, who grabbed the mic that night?
Doug. It was Doug. Let me say this. God, boy, that's what kills me about some of these things. Ooh, so glad you came with this already. But someone I feel sometimes though that I hear that I don't even take the time to answer it because I think it's so hilarious and outrageous. No one ever checks anything out to see what's true or false. And then a lot of times people don't believe what's true or false anyway. They make it up in their mind just about headlines we see today with anybody. If Tanya Harding's already guilty in everybody's eyes, whether she is or not. Michael Jackson was guilty before whatever. So the wing thing was my brother, but no one asked. And Doug had the wing deal to go over there. And I was supposed to went back in June. And I didn't make it because we agreed for me not to come because I really needed to be in Philadelphia the last 2 weeks before the June 19th show against Terry Funk. I didn't go. Then they had the thing coming up to the end of November into the December tour this past year where they wanted me to come, and I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to wrestle as a creature. That was another thing too, because in Memphis I'd seen Dr. Frank, and my dad had done Freddy Krueger, and then Doug did Freddy Krueger in Japan. My dad did Freddy Krueger for the USWA as a babyface, and he did real good with it. And And that's where Doug got it, was from my dad. And so then they said, I want to be Michael Myers. I love Michael Myers from Halloween. And they called him the Boogeyman, and like the first installment of it, if you remember. So Doug come home to tell me, I said, what monster am I? And he says, well, you're going to be the Boogeyman. I went, the Boogeyman? I thought Jimmy Van was the first thing I thought. I said, who? Jimmy Van or what? He says, no, that guy from Halloween. I said, Michael Myers, all right. So I love that mask, that plain white mask with the hair and wearing the Jason-looking stuff and walking. So I was looking forward to it. I was going to Japan with Doug for 2 weeks and having fun and getting away. And so I really loved Japan. I loved going over there. And so being with Doug was a lot of fun, too. It was our first tour together out of the country. And we got over there, and just the first week, I could tell Doug was... The Freddy Krueger gimmick was like, I guess, the top heel gimmick there. And Doug had worked real hard. He took some dives off some balconies over there. And he doesn't get credit for a lot of things. I think it's kind of bad. I think, Doug gets overshadowed a lot of times. And I don't really appreciate that or like that either. And I wish a lot of people look at what he does sometimes as who he is and for what he is instead of keep me out of anything. But Doug, as a Dark Patriot, did a good job, I think. And so with Freddy Krueger deal over, he dove off balconies, he'd done gimmick matches, he'd done fire, he'd done everything. So you could see that when Freddy Krueger went to the ring, the people were loving him, even though they're scared of him. So they had a big nail death match coming up, I think, between Freddy Krueger and someone. Yeah, I think it's who it was. No, it was against the Leatherface, my part. Eventually, it was going to be in January. They were working up to it, and then they was going to do something. But Doug didn't know what the finish was coming up. So Doug had his own little politic thing going on. He had been there a whole year. And a lot of people don't look at that. Doug had been there a whole year, and then all of a sudden I came in for a tour, which is coincidental. Seriously. And I was there, and a lot of power plays got to being done. I remember one night, I do like to rib, I like to joke, and I do things. So if a promoter comes to me and tells me, like, make sure you don't give this gesture in the ring. Well, the first thing I do when I get in the ring is give this gesture. So, I mean, that's the way I've always been, but a lot of people know that. And so I have fun with that. If someone tells me don't grab the microphone, Eddie, well, a lot of times I'll grab the microphone and just sit and go, and I don't say anything sometimes. I just do it to watch promoters melt back there, and it's fun. I just have a lot of fun with everybody. I took a fire extinguisher one night in Japan and went outside. I was the Boogeyman. I was Michael Myers walking around the floor when they introduced us for the little celebration deal before the matches, and I go out there and take a fire extinguisher off the wall and turn it on, and all the fans go running. There's white stuff all over the building. And the promoter, that Ibaragi guy, and Victor Quinones, Ibaragi, though, he wasn't too happy at all. I saw this bad look on his face. He was mad at me. I thought, the hell with it. We're over here having fun anyway. So I get back to the dressing room, and Doug comes over to me and says, you won't believe this promoter. I said, what? He says, he wants to take $150 out of each of our payoff for this deal you just did with, and I'm thinking, why do it to Doug? I'm the one that did it. Why do it to Doug? And in the meantime, you got to understand the history. I think, and Dave Meltzer brought this up in his little remarks about it, which was great. And I'm glad he did because no one else said it. Mike Kirshner had been the Leatherface over there, and then he got in some trouble protecting someone else, Mike Anthony, who was wrestling over for Wing at the time, protecting them in a fight with a bunch of marks out in the city of Tokyo. Got put in jail for like a few months. Was back in Florida. This guy, Jason the Terrible, who came into Wrestling Wing at the same night that all this I'm fixing to get to came up, this Jason the Terrible was being brought back. In the meantime, Jason the Terrible had got Mike Kirshner's Leatherface gimmick out of his Ibaragi's house, his promoter. Jason the Terrible went into his house when Mike Kirshner was flown back to Florida, got this, allegedly got this, I know for a fact he did, but allegedly got this outfit, and he sold it to these Japanese people that resell stuff. Like sold it for $800. It probably wouldn't worth $200. But when all the boys found out about it, they just hated this guy. I mean, when all the Wing boys came to me and they said that Jason the Terrible's coming back here next week, talking about week number 2 on our tour, and we don't understand. He's a thief. He's a thief. And so we came up to our night. This night that all this happened, this tag match. It was myself and Leatherface against Freddy Krueger and the Tales from the Crypt thing. This monster deal. I can't remember the other thing, but you should watch Tales from the Crypt. Crypt Keeper, yes. Crypt Keeper. So Freddy Krueger's partner. And also this night, Jason the Terrible is his first night back in. his partner is a good Japanese guy there, and I can't remember his name, but he's one of the best ones to us. And I called him Jackie Fargo while I was there because he just reminded me of Jackie Fargo, and I said that to him, and we had a good relationship, good rapport and everything. And this guy and Jason the Terrible were booked against the Moondogs, and Doug had got the Moondogs booked on the tour with us. And it was a real personal thing to Doug because Mike Kirshner was real close to Doug, and they got to be close friends while they were over there, looked out for each other's back. Doug had told me all this stuff. Jason the Terrible was coming back in, who had no business being there, and other guys liked him. So Doug said, 2 days before this, said, I'll tell you right now, if they have Jason the Terrible to beat the Moondogs, I'll tell them I'll go out there and you'll beat me, and I'll take my mask off and screw them and this promotion if that's what they think of someone that's sweated and worked hard for them like Mike Kirshner did. And I said, well, Doug, you just do what you want to do. This is your deal. And I am not going to be part of it. I don't have anybody saying that Eddie went over there and did this. And that's exactly what wound up happening. But that night of the show, Jason the Terrible comes in the dressing room, shakes hands with everybody, leaves the room. I'm going, man, I sure hope they don't do what, because I know Doug, and he's already said for a fact that if they do this, he's had it. So we wait for them to get the Moondogs and Jason and them together. Moondogs come back in, tell Doug what's going on in the match. Jason the Terribles are winning the thing. Doug went ballistic. He said, where's the Ibaragi at? And so Doug got up. He went to Ibaragi, told him the whole thing. He said, well, I don't know why a piece of shit Jason the Terrible come back here and you treat him like you do. And I was there. I heard the conversation, so did the Moondogs. And this Ibaragi had no answer at all. So things are fixed now or something. Doug said, maybe with y'all, but not with me. And Doug says, if he wins, they could have had the Jackie Fargo guy win, is what I'm trying to say here, too. If Jason the Terrible wins the tag match, I'm going out there and pulling my mask off. Me, Rocky just kind of laughed at him. Yeah, I know you won't. And I thought, oh, man, don't say that. And the guy left, and Doug looked at me and said, you know what to do? And I went, and the last thing I said to Doug in the hallway before we went out, I was going to my right, Doug was going to my left to go out his way. And I said, are you sure this is what you want to do? And he said, yes. And I said, well, I'm with you then. Because not one, we don't do things separate. And there's loyalty both ways. We're family, and we, we'll always stay there somehow. So when I saw him, when he came in the ring, and then I grabbed him, and I went for what was it first? I think we went for a small package first, or sunset, one or the other. Sunset flip, I think sunset flip first. The referee wouldn't go down for the count. I think that they had already told him that if Freddy Krueger goes to get beat, don't go down for the count. And he got up and went towards Leatherface and Crypt Keeper outside the ring. And all the boys knew what was happening just about. And the referee didn't go down for the first time. We came right up, and Doug's cussing. I always laugh now when I tell the stories of Doug cussing while he's going backwards. Count me this time or whatever, and because he was so mad. And I think the next time I saw him packaged him, but it was one or the other first and the other second. And the 1, 2, 3 came, and Doug come up, and they started playing music, and Freddy Krueger had never been beat. And then all of a sudden we beat him in the deal. Doug had done it for me for no reason. The first tour I'd been there, Boogeyman, big deal. Doug gets up and says, stop the music. He's got his Freddy Krueger mask on, and he goes through the story that it was a shit promotion and shit promoter, and that they don't treat the boys good. And he takes his mask off and he says, my name's Doug Gilbert. And when I saw him do that, it was like this feeling like, wow. Like Bruiser Brody could be here to see this. I think you'd have to say God bless y'all. Or God bless Doug at this point in time, because Doug, you don't ever see anybody in the business anymore. What I was talking about a while ago, that people don't stick up for each other. There's no loyalty to anybody. When I stood back and watched Doug be loyal to Mike Kirshner and to the Moondogs for getting them booked over on the tour the way he did, and I thought, man, that's great to see that. And so that's what made me reach up and take my mask off. And I looked at him and he said, that's my brother, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. And then the people were just stunned, and that's fine. That's what we meant to do. And we got outside the ring, and then we high-fived and left the ring together and got back to back. I still had never said a word about anything. I just went in the dressing room. I told Victor Quinones he just shot himself in the head, though. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, you could have changed this. This could have been detoured, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. They could have had the other babyface go over in the tag match with the Moondogs. You don't do your business that way and handle it that way. And after it was over with, they wanted comments from us, and I told Doug, I said, this is your baby, I'm standing with you. I stood behind Doug on the tape with my hand on his shoulder. He did the talking. He told him again why he did it, and we left. We left the next morning. But it was Doug's decision. I stood by him, and the last thing I told him, I said, you sure it's what you want to do? And when he did it, I was like, go for it, man.
Did you do any Japanese press interviews after that about that?
That's what that was. That's what they. Well, they never had a chance because we left the next morning. Yeah. Yeah, we. That night they took us off and they had the camera and they let some press be there with their pads, and then I talked to. I can't remember which newspaper it was, but I talked to them the next morning from the airport because I knew the girl there, and I talked to her and I gave her what really, what caused what. Even though I knew that some of it might not get said and some of it would, but I wanted the story to be told, but it really never got told.
No.
At all. But there was a lot of loyalty to it, and just I tell you what, it's a bad thing that I guess the bad part about it is that Gilbert had to be involved in it because at the same time, I mean, it just goes along with the reputation, and sometimes you're hard to deal with and get along with and stuff.
Yeah.
When we left them alone.
Yeah. Well, that always brings us up to the present, but I wanted to go back to Tupelo, Mississippi.
1981.
Yeah. Whose idea was that? And the promoter comes in at one point and looks like, what did he do?
The promoter and his wife.
Yeah, well, the wife came in afterwards.
Yeah.
I've watched this thing so many times.
The promoter's dead now, Herman Sheffield. The Undertaker. Him and Tojo.
He looked like he was starting to tangle with Tojo, but that was worked, right?
Yeah.
That was work, but then the wife comes in.
Yeah.
What was the wife?
She had a good reputation down around Tupelo.
She did?
Oh, boy, I get some good old inside. Yeah, she just had a good reputation. She was involved in it. But the idea, I got to tell you, that you got to go back to 1979, I think, and get a tape of the Yeah, that to me, well, that's what happened was is that when Ricky and I came back from Oklahoma in '81, him and I had been out there together for Leroy McGurk for 3 months, and we come back in as a team. We'd never been a team here in Tennessee. We came back in, took the belts from Onita and Fucci, our first Monday night back in, and Jerry had this idea. He came to me and said, "Eddie, do you remember the angle in Tupelo?" I said, "Yes, I do." And I thought, great, man. It's right. I just never got that chance. I think a good example would be a person, when I started talking about characters and everything, babyface, and I just never been able to do a character, be a character in the business yet, even up to 81, that I could show any kind of, that I had any kind of character at all to be. I was just Eddie Gilbert and go out there and wrestle in this babyface. So Ricky Morton and I had this chance to go to Tupelo, Jerry Jarrett, and do this concession stand angle, and Jerry Jarrett had us all come up to his house to watch the Larry Latham and Wayne Ferris and Bill Lundy and Jerry Lawler concession stand fight, which we remember from Tupelo. And we watched the deal. I knew about it. And what gets me to this day is I remember Onita sitting in the chair watching the thing going, oh, no. I knew, I thought, well, this is going to be hard. And Onita got his 2 front teeth knocked out during this thing. And then he didn't have any teeth here. And he really looked ugly, and they shaved his head, and he was a pretty boy then. And I mean, he thought, and he hated this. He didn't like bleeding. He didn't like getting cut in the concession stand deal. He didn't like getting beat up. He didn't like, he didn't like the punishment. He didn't like dishing out either way. And it's great for me when I watch it now or think about it and knowing his reactions and knowing what he's been doing the past few years in Japan now with the bomb matches and the barbed wire, when I knew that he hated this in the beginning. And then when we did the deal, it was just, I mean, we knew what we was going, and when we got in the concession stand, just Katie bar the door, whatever we got a hold of, we got to use. And I mean, I was looking for everything. That's the reason why I was happy when I got the mustard bucket and got the, because I remember them using that in the one with Lawler and Dundee and them, and I wanted to make sure we got some good stuff in there. We couldn't really get too close to the popcorn machine because that was real expensive or something. Man, I remember, and I also remember there were some boards that were laid in there that I was supposed to break over Tojo's head, but I got the wrong boards, and I was trying to break them over his head, and they weren't breaking. And he was going, God damn, Eddie. He was mad for a little Billy. He was all, I couldn't understand. I said, I'm trying, but it was the wrong ones. He had placed these other ones on down under the thing. And that was probably the sorest I'd ever been the next morning. I'd never been anything like that. I mean, my cactus stuff came 10 years later, and I'd never been involved in anything like that where you really take stuff. And because then it was like, to make this believable, we have to hurt each other. Because Larry Latham got like 16 stitches in his head from that concession stand that night because Lawler had picked up a board with a nail in it, hit him over the head, and cut it. And they just kept fighting in that deal. You never knew Larry was, I mean, he was cut and he was bleeding, but you never knew where it was from or what happened to him, really. And we knew that we had I remember having a black eye that morning from it, and it was Tojo popping us in the eye, me and Ricky both. If you ever see it, Tojo gets close to us and he's knuckling us right in the eye with it. I'm going to watch there. And we were very, very sore. I know they were hurting. We did an angle the next morning on TV where I got beat up with a kendo stick by Tojo. They showed all this stuff, I think, on one of the TVs in order, or out of order, in order, whatever. All this happened. I remember Jerry telling Tojo, make sure you whip him good because, Eddie, you'll get your chance later in the show. And Tojo did. He whacked me over the head with this kendo stick thing. And he went to tell you, if you think those things don't hurt you, you're crazy because they sound good. I mean, you think, oh, it's not hurt. It hurts bad, real bad. And had places on my head from it, and Tojo whacked me over the back. I was thinking, oh, my God, I can't wait to get out of this thing. At the end of the show, I got to go back in on Tojo with Onita and Fucci on the TV show that day after the concession stand fight. I guess Dutch Mantell and Steve Kern. And I remember going in the ring, I had my head, I had the Spirit of 76 thing bandaged around my head, and I had the kendo, so I got the kendo stick from Tojo or something, and I just waylaid them good. I mean, I remember taking off across the ring like with a baseball bat. I mean, I beat Tojo over the back. But see, that I didn't know that I've known Tojo all my life, grew up knowing Tojo, but I didn't know that he loved pain. So he wanted me to hit him harder every time I hit him with this thing, and I thought, I'm getting him back the way he did to me. And then all the time he's loving it. He wouldn't leave the ring. He just kept holding the ropes, kind of like I was saying I was doing with Watts, but he was doing it because he loved it, though, and he wanted me to hit him harder. But we did a lot of good stuff in that thing. Tojo come out during that program with Onita and Fucci. During the concession stand, they told you to come out and talk about I got to be the spokesperson for the team, which, I appreciated at that time with Ricky, and he understood it. He let me go ahead, and I had to the lead of the thing with the tag angle, and Tojo come out and talk about my mother and dad and spit in my face and everything, and we had a real personal issue in that thing. It was a lot of fun.
Three more subjects.
Okay.
Jim Ross.
Or diet still anywhere? No. Well, likable person, loves power. I guess everybody does, but I think I would just hope that I would have more respect. That I would have more respect for my friends and people that worked with to get where I became or came to be. Remembering those people and not try to walk over them and stuff. And then Jim and I go back to 1981. Was what's bad about it in Oklahoma, and Jim actually helped me get the booking job in UWF. And I guess where Jim and I first started coming apart at the seams as far as being friends was in '87 during the sellout of UWF. I kind of in my head, and I guess still do, even though he's denied it, and he says that I'm wrong. And I don't know. There's not any really proof. Jimmy Crockett's never told me one way or the other, so I don't know of what happened in that deal. I heard Jim Ross too many times saying what NWA needs is me on TBS, talking about himself as an announcer taking Tony Schiavone's place and everything. So I remember that when the sellout came. I got the call from Jim Ross about the sellout of UWF and when it was coming and what it was about, and he was the one that set the deal up. And I pretty much in the back of my mind always felt that and I took that kind of personal. I loved UWF, and I hated seeing the people lose jobs and did. And I never forgot it. And then we got to WCW, and he was a very good politician. He moved up real good. He got I guess he got under the right people. Jim, if you let him get that foot in the door there, he'll sure get into the room with you. Like Crockett got in with Jimmy, and he finally worked his way into being on the booking committee. Got more power. I think there was a power struggle there between Flair and Jim Ross on the committee too. That came after I was gone. I think I was the first problem or whatever. And then after that, and Jim's had a lot of stuff involved, personal and professional with me, so I don't want to get too much involved in him as far as opinions, but he's been successful. I guess that's the bottom line.
Okay, Medusa.
I think she's great athlete, great wrestler. She's a good person, good-hearted person. I think her and I think it was just a meeting in the wind or something with us. I don't know what it was, but it was nice while it lasted, but it wasn't meant to be. It was fun getting to know her. I didn't really know her up until I met her in Philadelphia. Good Heart shows, and we done a mixed tag together, and from there we kind of were together from there on. And but she's really a good person. I think she deserves getting out of the business what she can, and she deserves being make as much money and being as successful as she can. I'm really proud she got this shot with WWF too.
Whatever happened with that debacle with that kid Gordon Scasari up in somewhere in New England, an AWF thing where you were supposed to be the booker?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was another weird story too, but it's very short, and I was supposed to go up there for the deal, and the whole thing was that he sent me a plane ticket from the plane ticket I got, one of these cheap deals, and you know what I'm talking about, that was from Dallas. It was from Atlanta to where it's Massachusetts, where we was going. And it wasn't from Dallas. And I was in Dallas on Friday night. I couldn't get. I took this ticket of his. When I tried to change it, couldn't do it. Couldn't get there. I called the first night that I couldn't get there. I called on the Saturday night late. I was on a hookup with Gordon and this other guy that was doing. He got all the cameras together and the lighting together. I can't remember his name right now, but he was the one that set it up between me and Gordon. He was on the phone too. I told him that I would fax them. I had already faxed them the TVs I had laid out. But they had said they hadn't got them, which I knew that I had faxed them to them. Then I went in and faxed them to the hotel that night, told them to call me the next morning, like on a Sunday morning. Had already missed the Saturday night. I said, prepay me a ticket on Sunday. I'll be there and clear all this up. I don't understand what the deal is with the ticket anyway, why you couldn't get it from Atlanta. I never heard from them again after that night. And I knew then that they had already talked about so many different people. Already said they'd do it. And 4 or 5 different people went up booking this show. And all this kind of deal, and so everything got really just messed up on the thing, and it was just actually Gordon really not knowing what he's doing in the first place. And I was in Dallas, booking Dallas at the Global thing, and Jeff Gaylord shows up wanting a job, and I remember I'd done wrestle Doug in a match, and I was bleeding, I was tired, I was in the dressing room. I remember sitting like this here. Joe Pescino was across from me, the Johnson guy, that's the announcer.
Oh, yeah.
Craig
Johnson and John Horton, real name. So Bonnie Blackstone's in the room, and I'm sitting there just with my head down going, because we done 2 tapings that night, and it was the last match, and I done laid out all the finishes, done the match, everything up to the end. I was very tired, drained, sitting there. I saw Jeff Gilbert walking past and forth through the front of the room outside the entrance, and I looked down and said, what do you need? He said, I need to talk to you a minute. So I went outside, talked to him. He was exchanging stuff back and forth with me about wanting to come to work. I said, okay. I said, and I started walking with him through the sportatorium dressing room. It's like a little maze through there. It's like 3 different rooms and stuff. We go from one room to another. And I remember asking him, I said, you got one of my business cards. You got my number. Because he'd been calling Scandal or Akbar for a job. And Akbar never told me the messages that he wanted to work on a Friday night or anything. And I said, do you have my home number? He says, no, I don't. So Barry Horowitz, I remember, saying, Barry, will you run out to the car and get my businessman? He said, sure. I gave him the keys. He runs out through the maze that I just come walking through to get the cards. So Jeff Gaylord and I go walking back through the maze once again back towards the front office room where I'd left, where I'd been with Joe Pescino. And I had got in front of Jeff going through the dressing rooms. And I remember going through one of the dressing rooms open, and all of a sudden I felt this like battering at the back of my head, just punches. I didn't really know what was going on. I just all of a sudden felt these punches. I remember turning around, I didn't even know who it was. That's how baffled I was. I turned around, I had my arm up trying to block the punches to see who it was, and I saw his Gaylord. And I couldn't figure out what this guy, why would Jeff Gilbert first off be hitting me? Why would he wait till I turned my back, this big why wouldn't he just say, I want to kick your ass or something? Fight me. Don't just, sucker punch. That happens every day and it's easy. But I turn around and I was on my feet. I had my arm up. I was trying to block it. The next thing I hear was, you SOB. And Doug came charging across in front of me, and I remember hearing this crack of glass busting. And I looked up, and It's like Cactus Jack deal. Doug had took a Pepsi bottle and hit Gaylord right in the head with it, and just busted, and Gaylord started bleeding, and turned, and he ran out of the sportatorium. He jumped in his car through gravel. Doug chased him out, and I remember walking into the casino, and everyone at first thought it was a wrestling angle because I was always doing goofy stuff, so they just thought I was doing an angle at first, and no one really thought I was serious. And I stood there a minute because, I mean, the punches were enough that the first time I ever been lightheaded from punches. And Doug came back in and told me what happened. And then we found out Gordon Scazzari sent Gordon $1,000. I think she did. Chris Cruz called me, and Gordon Scazzari telling him that yes, he paid Jeff Gaylord to come and do the number on me, whatever he's supposed to do. I always thought, and all of us laughed later, a lot of the wrestlers and everything said that Gaylord was so stupid he should have come to me and said, hey, I'll give you $500 if you were just, act like it, or tell him that I played you up 2 weeks or something. But Gaylord didn't know he's burnt out in the head, so he didn't know. And then so I went home, and I still, it was a shock to me because I never thought, first I thought I was past anything like that. Never thought. Then I got to thinking, man, just how crazy this business is. I thought, wow, at least I'm getting to make sure I feel every aspect of it. Now I've been jumped. Went through the John Tatum stuff, everything, never a fight. Then I'll get jumped by Jeff Gaylord. And so I remember getting home, and Medusa and I were together, married, living together. And I remember getting real mad about this thing, and she was going to, I think, Boston or somewhere up there to work. And she knew that he'd be at the show, and she told me, she said, I'll get it. And she did. She called him over to talk to him. From everything, all the stories I've heard is that there were some friends of his out there. She said she wanted to see him to talk to him, like she's going to be real nice. And then she got him over there and gave him 2 or 3 kicks or something and knocked him out or something. So I was real proud of that when I heard about it. I was real happy. So I figured everything got pretty well. And I'm working with Jeff Gaylord here, and Jeff's just, whatever.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to ask you about is Sabu. Why is it taking him so in this country? Why do guys don't, how come everybody hasn't jumped on him to try and hire him? I mean, I thought for sure for you, he'd have been the perfect guy.
Well, he's got his Japan thing first.
Yeah.
I think the guys make it as complicated as they want to make it. What I mean is making it in the business and making problems. He's not making any problems. He's a great guy, and I like him a lot. And I think he's a great. I think he's a Cactus Jack, and we don't have the shows. Yeah. Is what it is. If you look, the things aren't going on. If all these, as far as them getting the ECW thing, but before that, I had made mention about Sabu at ECW, and remember, you got to have the owner going along with you and everything. Maybe Paul made a different pitch at a different time. We couldn't get him at the time I wanted to because I thought that'd be a perfect opponent for me after Funk. And I finished, and I thought that'd be fun, especially with the Fire. I wanted to bring the Sheik into it and bring Funk back as my partner and everything. Never got to do that stuff. And Sabu is a great, great talent. I think that when he wants to come, see, the loyalty thing plays a big part again. He's being loyal to Onita. He hasn't went over, he said he's tried for WCW or whatever to do. I don't know about WWF or what. I can't remember right now, the hearsay or whatever. And his stuff with the ECW, I knew he wouldn't make a commitment with them because of Japan. So I think it's up to him. When he really wants to make it, he will. He's got his uncle there, a very, very smart man, knows how to play hard to get. And I think that's one of the best mind games you play in this business, play hard to get.
Okay. We got funny, got about an hour and 50. That's great.
I'm just thinking of old stories here. Ooh, Lord.
Yeah, I know. It's like watching Memphis TV without the commercials.
Yeah.
They said, well, something about it. He gives his ideas, all that other stuff, and then he said, they go, well,
Please, touching it. He's moving, always moving.
And he was saying, where did you hear that, blah, 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 and he said, well, they go, well, we heard from Brian Gilbert, and he goes, no, we heard that Eddie and Deborah wanted to start coming out anyway, so, he said,